And we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to preview the early window games for Sunday. So let's get right into that. So the first one we'll talk about is the Giants and the Rams. So the Giants are 5.5-point underdogs against the Rams. The Rams are coming in hot, 8-7 on the season. But they've been playing really good football as of late. I mean, ever since Kyron Williams has come back, I mean, they've looked like a completely different team. Matthew Stafford's been playing well. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Demarcus Robinson as well, scoring touchdowns in 4 straight games. The Giants, obviously, they made it competitive against the Eagles, losing 33-25. They capitalized on mistakes that the Eagles made in this game. So, with this game here, listen, the Rams' defense hasn't been great. But I don't know. I mean, for me, I feel like the Rams have just been rolling. I feel like that's going to continue in this game. 5.5 is a lot of points. But I don't know. I mean, this is one of those games where you could go against the grain, but, I don't really want to. But I took the Rams in this game just because, I feel like they are the better team, and I feel like they should be able to cover this spread. I feel like it's going to be too much for the Giants to handle, but I don't know. I mean, then you got the Giants going against the Rams defense, which hasn't been great. So I don't really know. But I took the Rams right now, and I laid the points here. So, so that's my thoughts on that. Then we move on to the next game, and this actually is one of the bigger games of the weekend, and that is the Dolphins and the Ravens. So, this is a huge game. Ravens are favored by 3.5. These two teams met last year, and the Ravens were up by a lot, and the Dolphins were able to come back and win that game. I don't know if there's going to be a Jalen Waddle in this game. He might be a Jalen Waddle. There might not be Jalen Waddle in this game because he's obviously got hurt. Tyreek Hill is a little banged up, of course, but he should be playing in this game. Obviously you got Mostert, who has 18 rushing touchdowns on the season. Devon Achane being back has been big as well. Ravens obviously coming off of that huge win against the 49ers, 33-19. I think them being at home and, for the most part, they're healthy. I think they win this game and cover. And that would basically, wrap up the number 1 seed. But who knows? It could be competitive. It definitely could be a competitive game. It was last year. It was a tale of... Well, it really was a tale of 2 different games. I mean, you had, the Ravens, they were up by so much, and then the Dolphins, they came back. So, we'll see how it goes. But, I would take the Ravens. And I'm going to lay the points here with that as well. Then in the next game, we got the Patriots and the Bills. Patriots are 13-point underdogs against the Bills. Bills coming off of that narrow victory against the Chargers, 24-22 against Easton Stick and the Chargers. And then you got the Patriots. They came off of that upset win against the Broncos, winning 26-23. I think that's a lot of points. I took the Patriots just because the Bills, they got so many injuries on defense. Patriots defense is still pretty good. So I feel like they could cover the spread. I think the Bills still win. But I feel like the Patriots, I think they'll keep it close enough where they cover the number. Maybe they lose by 10, kind of like how they lost it by 10 to Kansas City. So I'm going to take Bills, I think, will win. Patriots, I think, will cover. But we'll see. Then we got the Falcons taking on the Bears. The Falcons, they came off a big win against the Colts, 29-10. Taylor Heineke obviously got the start, so he'll be starting again. And then the Bears winning 27-16 against the Cardinals. Falcons are 7-8. Bears are 6-9. Supposedly it's going to be it says there's snow in the forecast. Again, I'm looking on CBS. So, I think for me, I would take the. I'm taking the Bears. I'm laying the 3.5. And I think it's because of their defense. I mean, their defense has been playing really well. Give them a lot of credit. The Montez Sweat trade has really panned out for them. Justin Fields has been playing okay. Khalil Herbert ran the football effectively against the Cardinals. I don't know. I just think a combination of that and them being home, I feel like they can win and cover. But we'll see. So that's my thoughts on that game. Then we move on to the Titans and the Texans. The line actually, well, I think it was 3.5. Then it went up to 5. Then it went back down to 4. So it looks like C.J. Stroud is going to be back for this game. And if he is, I'm probably going to take the Texans here. Them being at home. Nico Collins, obviously, he made his return last week. He scored a touchdown. I feel like the Texans with Stroud being back, I feel like they can win, cover the number. But again, it's a division game, so they could keep it close. The Titans possibly. Obviously, these teams met, when Case Keenum was playing quarterback, and they won in overtime. So, but I think with Stroud being back, I think it's going to be hard for the Titans to keep up. So I'd take the Texans to win and cover. So this game, I don't know what to do. I'm going back and forth with this game. The Raiders and the Colts. The Colts are 3.5-point favorites. I had the Raiders, then I switched it. I don't know. I mean, the Raiders, listen, they're coming off of that big win against Kansas City. But then again, also look at the fact that the Chiefs, they gave them 2 touchdowns, and the Raiders didn't complete a pass after the first quarter. And the Colts, they're coming off of that blowout loss against the Falcons. They want to redeem themselves. They're back at home. I think, maybe they win and cover this number. So I took the Colts, in this game. Then we move on to the Panthers and the Jags. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this game. Right now I have the Panthers because Trevor Lawrence might not play. And we saw what happened when I didn't know if Trevor Lawrence was going to play against the Bucs. He ended up playing. I switched, and then the Bucs still ended up, winning by a bunch of points. Right now I have the Panthers. I might keep it. I might change it. I don't know. Again, subject to change for this weekend. But right now I got the Panthers with the points. Then we got the Eagles and the Cardinals. Cardinals 3-12 coming off of that loss against the Bears. The Eagles barely beating the Giants. The number, it went up from 9.5 to 11.5. It's going to be I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of points. I did take the Eagles, right, because right now in the spread pool it's at 9.5, so I took them. It's gonna be tough. So I'm gonna take the Eagles. Even though right now it's at 11.5, that's a lot. I think with the 11.5, if it was 11.5, I maybe would take the Cardinals. 9.5, I don't know. I mean, does that really make a big difference? I guess. But I have the Eagles right now. I feel like that was another team that unlike the Chiefs who lost, the Eagles almost beat themselves, but they still ended up winning. I think the Eagles should win by at least 2 scores here, because the Cardinals, not a very good team. Defense isn't great. But then again, you look at the Eagles, their defense isn't great. So, I don't know. But I feel like the Eagles, they should win by 2 scores. They're at home, but we'll see. Then we got a big NFC South matchup between the Saints and the Buccaneers. The Bucs at 8-7, coming off of that 30-12 victory over the Jaguars, and then you got the Saints who lost on Thursday Night Football last week, 30-22 to the Rams. They woke up at the end, but it was too little, too late. Bucs are favored by 2.5. I think the Bucs win this game. I think they cover the number. They look like the better team right now. I just don't trust the Saints. Can the Saints win this game and shock people? Yeah, but I don't know. I think for me, the way Baker Mayfield's been playing, him and Mike Evans have had a nice connection this year. Rashad White has really played well recently. I think the defense will give Derek Carr a tough time, force him into some turnovers. And I think the Bucks win and clinch the NFC South, which I hope ends up happening. So I picked them. And then finally, we got the 49ers against the Commanders. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett starting for the Commanders. They're 13-point underdogs right now in this game. Niners obviously coming off of that loss against the Ravens. I mean, for me, I like the Niners to win and cover. I think they do that. Because I mean they cover big spreads. Now, again, they're coming over to the East Coast, and sometimes that could be tough. But I don't know. I just feel like the Commanders' defense is really bad, and the Niners they need to bounce back here. So I'm going to take them to win and cover here, and yeah, that's pretty much all the games for the early window slate. I mean, obviously there are a couple games that have big implications. I mean, you got the Bucks and the Saints. That's for the division. You got the Dolphins and the Ravens. That's for the 1 seed. So yeah, there's some games in this early slate that got heavy implications here. In the second half, not so much. Well, outside of the Packers-Vikings game, which is on Sunday night, and then of course we got the college games to talk about as well. But yeah, I mean those two games in the early window slate, those have pretty big implications. So yeah. But let me know what you guys think about this early slate. Who do you think is going to win each of these games? I mean, the spreads is going to be tough. It really is. I feel like I got to go against the grain, but I really don't want to. But maybe I'll switch to the Commanders and take them against the 49ers. I'm not doing that. Even with the quarterback change, I can't pick against the 49ers, except when I did when they were playing the Ravens, because that was different. Ravens were getting 5.5 points, and they're one of the best teams in football. I'm like, I'm going to take them with the points, and that ended up playing off because the Ravens flat out won the game. So yeah, but that's pretty much it when talking about the early slate. When we come back from our final break of the show already, we'll talk about the late window games. We'll also talk about the college football playoff. With those games, I'll give you my picks for those, and that is what we will do when we come back from our final break of the show here. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.